KUAM News Hotspot is brought to you by Calvo Enterprises, Inc.
If you haven't heard, the recent release of a new app called ChatGPT is sweeping the globe, ushering in what many believe is the next technological advancement that will fundamentally change the world. Artificial intelligence has been around for a while, but when the company OpenAI made its chatbot available free and for anyone to use, tens of millions across the globe took up the opportunity, and as a result, new functionality has grown exponentially. ChatGPT is backed by Microsoft, which has invested a massive $10 billion in OpenAI, the company founded by Elon Musk, but which he eventually left. The stunning response to ChatGPT has triggered other rivals, such as Google and several Chinese tech giants, to step up their own programs. New applications are sprouting daily, but the ease of use and access is also drawing concerns from regulators who warn that with all the beneficial uses could also come some harmful ones. So, are robots taking over? We'll talk with a couple of familiar faces who are as intrigued about the possibilities as you might be. Our conversation with business consultant Ginger Cruz and KUAM tech guru Jason Salas coming up. Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Hub. I'm Nestor Licanto, and I'm joined by two very good friends of mine, former colleague Ginger Cruz, who is the CEO of Mantit International, the private consulting firm, and our Jason Salas, a current colleague who is our KUAM tech guru. And I asked you guys to come on. Thanks for joining us. Because Ginger, you wrote a recent op-ed about artificial intelligence and specifically ChatGPT, and it's just happened to be a subject I'm just totally, immersed in right now because it's just fascinating. So, and I, of course, brought Jason on because he knows about 1,000 times more about tech than I do. So, thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you, Nestor. That's really good to be here.
Thank you.
So let me start with you, Ginge. So, for those who might not be up to speed on all of this that's been going on with ChatGPT, first of all, explain what that is in artificial intelligence. And then we'll ask Jason to give his perspective on it as well.
Sure. Well, let me first qualify that I am definitely not the tech expert. That would be Jason, and basically anybody that's younger than me. I'm one of those people that's of an age where, I'm coming at it from a public policy standpoint, and I'll tell you, it's something that it's been around for a while, but I think that people in the public policy world have really started to take notice because it kind of crept up on all of us and it's sort of taking over. And essentially what, in my lay terms, what ChatGPT is it's sort of an intelligence that allows a computer to not just gather data and present things, but to actually analyze it, in a way, think about it and produce results that go way beyond what computers have ever been able to do before. So for example, I went on ChatGPT and I asked it, hey, can you write me a 700-word article for, KUAM that talks about ChatGPT on Guam and what are the impacts? And literally you hit the word and you hit the enter key, and ChatGPT is a technology that comes up with an article, creates the whole thing from scratch. It analyzes all this data that's out there on the internet, specific to Guam, specific to the question, and writes this coherent analysis. It doesn't mean it's perfect. I mean, you still have to check it, but it writes this coherent analysis that would take a human, an hour to do the research and put it together and write it, and it does it literally in seconds.
Yeah, that's what I find fascinating. And Jason, you can give us your perspective from, I guess, a more technical way.
Oh, sure. I mean, like Ginger said, so perfectly, this technology has actually been around for several decades now, and in various forms. And it's, there are, in geek circles, like people that study this kind of stuff, because we have no lives like me. There are several attempts to make AI more applicable to a mainstream audience, and there've been, can we use this for machinery? Can we use this as an industrial tool? And with ChatGPT, as we're talking about now, they finally found something that has primarily consumer like relevance, like, we can use it to draft essays or write, journalism pieces, or, like I was messing around the other day and I said, can you actually talk about the history of Guam between the period 1957 to 1981 in the form of a Shakespearean sonnet? And it would actually prepare it like that, because we finally have a tool, and we've got enough data, and we've got enough processing power available to us in the cloud, that you can actually put together and actually understand the context of what you're talking about. And I mean, that is such a transformative ability for us to be able to say something like Ginger said. We've now got this framework that you can use that can do a way better job than any individual or probably group of people ever could, and much faster. But it requires us as people, and us old school people, to actually have to shift our skills to be able to use this productively, rather than what a lot of people are doing, is say, should I either push back against it, or should I just say this is evil and it's never going to work? Because I mean, it's here right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I came across it when I was reading an article about how Microsoft had invested $10 billion in AI, which is the parent company of ChatGPT AI, which was started by Elon Musk, who eventually bailed out of it, probably to his regret right now. But it provided an open source access to this ChatGPT, and you just establish an account, go on your computer or even your phone, and just, as you guys were saying, just type in a question, and boom, 10 seconds, anything you pretty much ask of it, it provides to you within seconds. It's remarkable. It really is a stunning, going to be a disruptor of all things, I think. And I've been watching a lot of stuff on YouTube and other sources where people are talking about it. And I think that they said since January, 100 million people worldwide have been exposed to this, our users. And everyone, all these different individuals are coming up with different ways on how to use it. They're playing with it, trying to figure it out. So, is it going to be the disruption, Ginger, that I think it's going to be?
It is. And the thing that is interesting about AI is, so that was sort of an entry point, I think, for a lot of people. I think that the experts had known about this for a long time, but now that any student can have it do their math homework, their science homework, their English homework for them in seconds, it's now become something that everybody is aware of. And as you look at all the potential for it, it's not just in the realm of words. The thing where it starts to get scary is in the realm of actions. Say, for example, pilots. Kids are growing up. Let's say one of your kids decides, hey, I want to become a pilot. I want to go fly an airplane. Well, we all knew about unmanned aerial vehicles, and we knew that there was this capability of technology for someone on the ground to sit there and fly things. But because AI is a technology that is a learning technology, it's something that you can actually teach the computer to do a better job than humans can do. There's some really amazing, frightening things that are happening with it, way beyond just it replacing playwrights or songwriters or essay writers or in the realm of words, where there was this one instance where there was a dogfight between two fighter planes, and they took an AI in a simulator, and they put them up against one of the top fighter pilots in the United States Air Force, and they had them do an aerial battle to see in a war who would win. And of course, the AI won every single time, because the AI can process at such an incredible rate of speed. It learned how the other pilot reacted. It immediately adjusted, and then was able to basically think so fast that there was this one maneuver where two planes normally fly straight at each other, and a human pilot would pull up because they wouldn't want to crash. The AI is so advanced that it's able to calculate the exact last second it has before it needs to pull up. So it goes straight at it, shoots its missile, which got the other plane, and then pulls up. So if you take that as an example, when you have a computer technology that not only can be creative and that can take just an immense amount of data and pull it all together and come up with an answer, but then it can also learn. It can it can think in a way, not exactly like a human yet, but some people are arguing maybe like a human, maybe better than a human in some cases. Then you really are starting to get your mind blown when you think about all the things that maybe computers can do better than humans. And then the question becomes, what do we do as humans? Like, who's controlling these? Who's training them? Who's getting replaced? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. We got to take a quick break, and then I want to come back with Jason to talk about the good. Well, we're going to talk about the good and the bad implications of AI, because this has really already blown my mind. But we need to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Don't go away. All right, and we're back to the hub, and as we said earlier before the break, we're going to go to Jason and start us off, Jason, on let's talk about the positive implications of AI okay. in your view.
Yeah. Okay. So, and like I said, I mean, what I'm seeing, and this isn't at all surprising, because anytime a new technology, like, comes to the public knowledge, a lot of people, like tend to push back from it. They tend to assume the worst about it. They tend to think, what is this going to be used for as far as like acts of terrorism? Will it endanger people? But I always say, I was like, and that's absolutely true. People are going to consider, those kinds of use cases. Specific to ChatGPT, there are countermeasures and safety fallbacks within the program that if you say, like, if you want to say, can you tell me how to make a certain type of weapon, or can you tell me I'm not feeling too well mentally, I'm having weird thoughts and everything, it'll actually guide you to appropriate resources, or it won't give you certain types of information. So those have been hard coded in. The good things about it, I always tell people, I was like, okay, well, what if this is used by law enforcement to actually find a missing person? What if it is used to solve the stock market, which a lot of people would like hope that it would do? What if it is used to, like Ginger said, machine learning, now that we've got all this processing power, what if from the pharmaceutical business, what if medicines can be discovered at a rate which previously would have taken decades to do? What if we actually are able to solve the common cold within the next like 6 months? Because you can do all the genetic sequencing and everything like that. So those are the upsides and everything, because now we've got all this processing power plus all this data that we can build upon. Of course, the dark side of it and the bad side, or like I said, there are people who immediately want to say, well, can I use this to confuse people, to sow public distrust, to just, do nefarious things? So, I mean, it's going to be like a balance. And I'm sure Ginger probably knows better than most of us and everything, the need for ethical AI and to actually bake in, have a diverse representation of when you put your data set together, to make sure that you're actually representing a wide range of people and opinions and of data.
Yeah, before we start, Ginger, talking about the prospects of evil geniuses taking over, what are some of the practical applications, particularly for like Guam, for example?
Well, so in a lot of cases, it can really make people more productive. And that's something that really on Guam we need help with. If we've got a limited amount of resources on island, let's say for grant writing, you could actually have a tool that could help us to physically write grants. And you would have to obviously input, a certain amount of data, and you would have to make sure that you quality controlled and you knew what you were doing. But just the sheer volume of work that it could do, which would then reduce the amount of busy work and time and allow the managers in GovGuam to spend more of their time doing the strategy, adjusting it, correcting it, getting these things out, and not having to worry about the hours and hours it takes to write it from scratch. The efficiencies that it could produce for Guam are incredible. There's also opportunities in data processing and data warehousing. I mean, Guam, is where we've got the hardware starting to really build up. We've got these efforts. The FAA is going to be providing over $25 million to build up broadband on Guam. We've got all of the undersea cables that are coming through Guam. And we've always talked about data centers and using Guam as a place to have data centers. Well, if you think about it, data centers, okay, people needed to store data. That was sort of a regular statement before. Now that you're talking about artificial intelligence and ChatGPT, the amount of data that needs to be stored and processed has just exponentially exploded. So the amount of data warehousing that's needed has also expanded, and the need to diversify that, have it in different locations so that it's secure. So Guam has an opportunity once again to do that. Now we got to be careful, because that takes up a lot of energy. I mean, people haven't really thought about this, but computers and processors now take up about 4% of all electricity. And they're saying because of AI and because of the huge computing power and all of these data centers, which have to have air conditioning and computer processors and all this stuff, they're saying it could go up to about 20% of electricity usage being sucked into data centers. So, Guam has to think about that. Do we want to get into that business? And is that an opportunity for us?
Yeah. We got to take another break, but when we come back, I'll ask Jason to just kick off the conversation about what some of the bad things, bad implications might be for AI going forward. We'll be right back. All right, Jason, before the break, we talked about, the evil genius potential for misusing this marvelous AI ChatGPT technology that's emerging. What, in your mind, are some of the bad implications of it?
People not truly understanding what they're doing. One of the benefits of AI, I mean, it is kind of interesting. It's in so many aspects of AI it's both a plus and a minus. Like it's a benefit and a drawback and everything, because it really depends on how you actually build a system based around artificial intelligence. Part of the bad things is you can AI, because it is based on data. You get garbage in, garbage out. You have a badly put together data set, or you've got too little data, or you've got data, like I was saying earlier, that is not representative of a true diverse population of people. You're going to get bad results. And whether it's as far as like making a decision or something like that, like you may falsely reject somebody for a loan application if they're trying to like buy a house. And that's at the easy side. You may say somebody might try and put together like a self-driving car, and you don't have enough data like that. The car is going to swerve, and you may endanger people's lives, and you may really, really injure people, if not have loss of life. So I mean, you really do have to take into very serious consideration, not just the ethics, but the quality of the data and the amount of the data you put in. I mean, we've been working with data or with AI here at KUM for like 8 years already, and we built like little projects, or like little recommendation services, stuff like that, but nowhere near on the things that are costing people potentially tens of thousands of dollars, or endangering people's lives and everything like that. So the applications that we're working with, we still require like a lot of data, and we really have to take into consideration, even if on the experimental level, that we are making this representative. And if we're trying to say like we're putting together articles because we want to actually have a system that would write articles, are we actually taking into consideration the opinions and the diversity and the inclusivity of enough people that it would make it like a actual like real world application?
Yeah, and the criminal potential of it too. I mean, you didn't really get into that, but there is that potential as well. Yeah, Ginger?
Yeah, I mean, there was a thing that I was watching the other day where AI was able to sample someone's voice and then recreate that voice, so that a criminal was able to call somebody's mom and make it sound like her son was in trouble and was asking for some money and telling her where to send it, and then hung up. And it was so realistic that you couldn't even tell. So AI fakes are something that are going to have to be fought against. And for average people, anybody with an inbox right now and an email account is already inundated with fake emails that you have to sort of wade through. AI is just going to take that to a whole nother level. And then, I mean, as Jason was saying, that really is at the crux of this. There's a question of ethics and there's a question of politics. So now this has even turned into a political issue, because there are some people who are saying, well, if all of the programmers and the majority of data that's out there on the internet is skewed either to too much to the liberal side or too much to the conservative side, then when you go in and you ask a question, then ChatGPT is going to give you an answer that, looks at this broad field of data, and it could be perhaps more left or more right, depending on what data was put into it. And so then that starts to become another area where people are going to be divided and people are going to be challenging each other because, is ChatGPT liberal or is it conservative, or what does it think, or is it, or is it going to lead people astray because it's got, some people are even saying that ChatGPT has this streak in it that when you ask it a question, it's mischievous and it wants to mess with people. And so all of these questions, what's interesting to me is every time we come up with these technological leaps, all the people who deal with ethics are always behind. We're always like running to catch up to make sure that there are guide rails, that there are regulations, that, we sort of look at this and make this fair, because otherwise this technology is just moving so fast at breakneck speed, you can't even keep up with it.
Yeah, and Jason, the exponential speed at which this is occurring is what worries a lot of people because they're not ready for it. The regulators, government's not ready for it. And it's going to reach a point where they say, we can't anticipate what's going to happen next. And then that's the biggest problem because we don't know where this is headed. I mean, we see in the movies, whatever the name of the iRobot or something, killer robots, and that's not out of the realm of reality, is it?
And okay, and if I can add something, because I'm a software programmer, right? And even in my line of work is AI is really making some huge waves and in positive ways, but at the same time, it's like this is the thing, and I'm glad Nestor brought that up, is this is the type of thing that science fiction is always written about. It's like, at what point do machines become sentient and become self-aware and then decide, we're smarter than these humans and we could do it better? Because now you've got programs that are writing programs at a rate and a pace and at a level of quality that I could never do by myself, or the humans could never achieve, and like even thousands of us together and everything. And that's the point when they would really supersede our own ability.
Yeah. On that note, we got to take one more quick break, and we'll we'll be back to wrap up the show in just a moment. Okay, guys, so we got maybe 3 minutes left, Ginger. So I'll ask you to start us off. What do you think? What is the future hold for us in terms of, obviously this is going to just be a major disruptor. This is the new technical revolution. What's going to happen in your mind?
I think it's going to get away from us, and I think it's going to be pretty messy as we're trying to catch up. And the only thing that I hope is here on Guam, sometimes we think we're isolated from the rest of the world, and we're not, because, the internet has changed all of that, and we're now moving at exactly the same speed as everybody else. So my sincere hope is that everyone out there who is an educator, everyone out there who is a parent, is thinking about this and trying to make sure that, to the extent that we can, we're aware of this, we're on top of it, and we're prepared for all of the challenges that AI is going to bring. Because as much as it's a great thing and it could be incredible, if we are not mentally prepared for it and if we're not strategic about it, it could really be more of a bad thing than a good thing. So that's my hope for Guam.
Okay. And Jason, I'm producing the show today, so I've been looking forward to saying this. You got about a minute to wrap this up for us.
Oh boy, this is okay. I was going to say, everybody, remember what we've been doing as a society on the internet for like the last 20 years is the key skill to have, regardless of what industry you're in, has been knowing how to use search engines. Going forward, Nestor and I were talking about this the other day, with this new technology, it's here. It's, thousands of companies have sprouted up just in the last week based on the fact that ChatGPT 4 is now available. But knowing how to actually author prompts, again, garbage in, garbage out, quality in, quality out. If you know how to actually ask and have a dialogue with ChatGPT, it will actually produce good things. But that's not the end of it. Like Ginger said, whatever is produced, it's still inherent on us, whether you're a writer, whether you're a journalist, whether you're a musician, whatever, whether you're a policymaker, whether it's the ultimate paralegal, to actually go through there and then fine tune and tweak and actually use our own human intuition to turn it into a finished product. But knowing how to prompt and ask for it to do stuff, I mean, it's the ultimate intern. And I think the future is bright. And whether we're in a recession right now or the recession's coming, there's going to be a lot of building, a lot of really innovative thinking, and people are going to come up with some really, really cool things. And I'm very interested.
And that's very key, Jason, what you just brought up, prompt engineering. And the three of us have, some experience in that, and because we've interviewed people in our careers, right? So I think that's the important thing. I mean, the more precise and the more and the better you ask the question, the better results you're going to get from this robot buddy of yours, hopefully. All right, fascinating conversation. I wish we had more time. Thanks for joining us, Ginger Cruz, the CEO of Mantude International, and my good buddy Jason Salas, who is the tech guru here at KOAM. I'm Nestor Licanto. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you again next week on The Hub.